Appreciate everybody being here this morning. Disappointing loss and result last night. A lot of chance to reflect on the bus back home, and I know the locker room and coaching staff will all look inward first, and understanding and continuing to get better here.
Coach, can you just take me through the decision-making one more time in the 4th-and-1 play? I know it wasn't the greatest snap, but your defense was playing well at the time. Just why you wanted to be aggressive in that moment?
Yeah, I think a great coach, Herm Edwards, once said, "You play to win the game," right? And in those situations, 4th-and-1, when you look at it, it's a go, analytically. In a lot of situations, field position wise. And we've been aggressive. That's who we are. That's who I am. Sure, pinning on the defense, but go win the game. Go gain a yard and win the game.
What do you think were some of the things that you guys could have done better to try and have a little bit more discipline on the penalty side, especially in that first half, Coach?
Yeah, the couple times, as far as the offsides penalties are concerned defensively, I thought, one of them there might have been a little bit of movement on their side. Again, those guys in the striped shirts have a really difficult job. But anytime you put it in someone else's hands, you're leaving it to chance, and we can't leave it to chance. We've got to be more disciplined, as players along the line of scrimmage, just generally, offensively and defensively. Some false starts hurt us in critical situations. Some illegal formations hurt us in critical situations. But discipline-wise, we've got to continue to emphasize that in those critical situations.
What do you think of Gavin Garcia's performance?
Loved it. He ran the ball really, really hard. I thought I think it was a 3rd and 8, going in, made a really nice run to gain a first down. The play ended up getting called back because of an illegal formation, but Gavin ran really, really hard all night.
Moving forward, obviously, short week. Your opponent does not have a short week. They have a regular week. The school down the road. It's the Wagon Wheel rivalry. What does that mean to you, Coach?
Yeah, wheel. This is, I've been blessed in my career, been able to participate in as a player or coach in several of these, proximity type rivalries. And, this one is really special, for a lot of people. And we're going to give it the care and attention it deserves, this week, as we have all year. And these are special types of games.
Yeah. Mark, just kind of growing up in the area, did you have any kind of memory, or were you aware of Wagon Wheel growing up? Or, like, what did it kind of symbolize to you?
Yeah, I think the first time I probably, it was probably on my radar was the the Charlie Fry era at that place, and its impact on local football. I as a young guy, I was privy to the Eds Ignatius matchup, right? And then you go to college, and there's a Jesuit Fordham versus Holy Cross matchup, and then you go to BG, and it's BG Toledo. All of those games are really. Anytime you play for a trophy, that's special.
You obviously were part of it here the last couple of years, but you guys are better this year. The record shows that you're playing better. Same for Akron. Mm-hmm. Do you think there's a little more juice to it with some improvement from both sides?
Absolutely. This is a game I think both fan bases can look at as a springboard moving forward. This is two teams going in a really, really good direction right now, and Not a lot of margin for error, for either program if we want to continue to build and grow where we need to.
Last night, a little bit, the unsportsmanlike conduct, on kickoffs, illegal formation on a field goal, took points off the board. It just seemed at times we lacked focus last night. I'm not questioning your execution, but can you talk about that? What can be done differently, and how surprised, how upset were you with how that went throughout the game? It just seemed like there was a lack of focus on a lot of different areas.
Yeah, there's. Each penalty you can look to as a point in the game, that mattered, right? And whether it was the early one with the tight end, and a little bit of a retaliation, got an unsportsmanlike there. The one on kickoff is inexcusable. That'll be something we deal with on an individual basis. And then the last one with CJ Young, I thought it was a tackle that was initiated and started in bounds on their sidelines. Emotional moment there, and it's a tough play if you're the backer to just let that guy go. So aggressive in that moment, and you live with things like that. Obviously, ended up hurting us. The misalignment on the field goal. We're in a tackle over situation where we create a long edge, and as you continue to go down the line, your split gets a little more vertical off the line of scrimmage. And we've got to coach that better. We've got to detail that up better for our guys. It was a good call. False starts, focus penalties on alignments. Those are mistakes that if you're going to win a road game, and those are mistakes that in week 9 and 10 as you progress through the season that you can't afford.
So I understand the aggressiveness. You've been aggressive all year. You continued with that last night, but the one that I was just asking for an explanation would be the pass you threw when you're up by 3, on their side of the ball. You're running the ball well, and he decided for the trick play that turned into a interception. If you could, could you just explain why you did that at that time?
Yeah, that's a play we've had banked reps at, and in a moment around midfield, trying to create a field position flip. There were options on that play that were available, and we didn't make the right decision.
You got to the red zone a lot more than you have during most games, which obviously is a good thing. What did you think of your red zone offense? What would you like to have redone, if anything, on some of those chances in the red zone when we just didn't come away with enough?
Yeah, we practiced that a bunch, coached that a bunch. That we call it the gold zone. Field goals aren't going to win football games, and the bottom line is when you get the ball in plus territory and cross your opponent's 40, you've got to finish drives. And last night we weren't good enough in that area. There was the 4th and 8 call. We're down 7. I think it was late third quarter. I can't remember exactly how much time was on the clock. Again, an aggressive go could take points there, but again, when we practice this gold zone situation, we competed at a pretty high level throughout the course of the week. And, you start with the ball on the 20-yard line, and obviously a touchdown is worth 6 for the offense. A stop is worth 6 for the defense. A field goal is worth 3 for the offense, but 4 for the defense, right? So in those situations, whether it was our defense on the first possession of the game, forcing a field goal there, like that's a win for us. We've got to do a better job of converting those plus territory scoring opportunities to touchdowns.
moving to the rivalry game. They seem like they're playing some of their best ball of the year right now. Can you just talk about what kind of an effort it's going to take? Especially with both teams still could become bowl eligible. I don't know the last time we could say that. Just talk about the effort it's going to take on Tuesday to come away with a win and try to get that wheel back.
Yeah, it's gonna take every guy in the program, every person in the program, finding some way, somehow, some little nugget, in the course of prep, to impact this team positively. Whether that's sideline energy, or a tip or a tell from something that we glean on film. It's going to take all of us, and again, road game. But this one feels a little different because it's not a 5-hour bus ride. It's a place that's 30 minutes down the road, and we'll treat it like a de facto home game, and that we'll stay in our own beds Friday night, and there's a little bit of comfort in that. But yeah, it's going to take everybody.
Thank you, Coach, and good luck.
Absolutely. Appreciate it, Rob.
Coach, with this being, such a historic and a rivalry game, and, you have a lot of new guys that may have never experienced it. Is there anything special to do this week to kind of make it known to them, like the history and how big of a game it is for, Kent State? Yeah,
I think you continue to connect, this current roster and locker room with locker rooms of the past that have experienced it, right? Successes and failures and lessons that they've learned along the way. This isn't a rivalry game that I played in, but it's a it's one that you can rely on past lessons. So we'll engage some of those folks.
Any more questions?
Coach, not to harp on last night again too much, but I want to know about this week of practice, how much time you put into maybe time management work of how you felt maybe that last drive went to have a good return, and what you would maybe want to do differently a little bit in that third, fourth quarter.
Yeah, miscommunication on the first, it was second down going to third down. Got some information from the box that wasn't accurate. So called a play and hesitated in that moment for a second with communication, called a timeout then, got in a very similar situation, in that next series and should have taken another timeout. That's on me. I'm learning. I'm very much a work in progress here, as the rest of our locker room is, and hopefully we all are. Mistake on my part, got to get better and learn from that and grow from that. Those 2 minute end to half end of game situations, there's a lot that you practice and that goes into those moments. I think the biggest thing for me is, as I grow and continue to become a better head coach, is where am I standing, right, in relation to officials, in relation to how I need to see the game from an offensive perspective or defensive perspective. So, critical eye for myself, and I'm going to continue to get better.
Coach, thank you.
Absolutely. Mark, are you talking about second down to Shields with a little like shovel pass?
Yeah. Yep.
You wanted a timeout.
Should have called another one. Yeah, we had a a play we called on the previous fourth down at tempo to move the chains, and went back to that, similar thought. But where people were to get lined up and execute that play quickly, we weren't in the best situation. I should have seen that and called a timeout.
How important is it for you to, like, when you're coaching your players, obviously, you're talking about all these little things, details obviously make a big difference. And you're coaching them hard. You guys are going through film and everything. How important is it for you to be open, like you just were, and transparent? And say,
100%.
Like, hey, you guys got to do this. I got to do this. We're kind of in it together.
Yeah, this is a we thing, and I am very much a part of we. So if any of our coaches, put themselves or think about themselves as being above the team, we're wrong. We make mistakes. We're human. They make mistakes. As players, they're human. Officials make mistakes. They're human. learn from it, grow from it, and be better the next opportunity.
My last question is following up on Josh when he was talking about kind of educating some of the newcomers on the history of the rivalry.
Yep.
You were talking about connecting the locker rooms past. You gonna have any special guests or anything? Any speakers?
We may.
Okay.
We'll keep those under wraps for now.
Okay.
Yeah. Good
Any more
question.
questions for Coach? Thank you all.
Appreciate your time.